All right, y'all. Let's break down the externalization of your power. This is the secret sauce, my brothers and sisters, to understanding the universe. This is the key to the gateway to God, to be able to understand how we got to go from a limited mindset to an abundant mindset. Everybody on the call today, this is the holiday season. Everybody's in Thanksgiving and all of this good stuff, and that's awesome. That's good. But we must understand how all of this works. Each and every person on this call, we have the ability to be able to really structure a reality that is the vibrational equivalent of source code on Earth. That just simply means that as we're sitting here talking today, as I'm talking to you right now, everybody has an opportunity to really understand that whatever you have in your reality matches your mentality. If I had to title today's message, in addition to the title that I already titled the message, that would be it. That is, everything that you have in your mind, you have in your hands. So we need to talk about structuring the mind, because if you have a messy house, that just simply means that you have a messy brain. So now we're going to talk about structuring the brain. Because what's happening is the secret to the gateway to God is clarity. But the ability to understand clarity is this ability for us to be able to operate from a place of a knowing instead of a believing. And once we understand that, the whole world changes. This is the number one secret to life. Out of all of these secrets that are not secrets, it's very important that if you live in a unstable life, then that means that you have an unstable mind. And one of the things that, that has really assisted me is understanding that in order to shift the mind, sometimes it's better to shift the body. I remember the first time I kind of connected the dots was I was listening to way back in the day before Tony Robbins, and he was just talking about what I just stated, and he was just talking about how all of the gurus that do this mind state, because that's what it is it's mind state shifting, and the people that are able to do the mind state shifting, those are the people that are what we call successful. So if I could talk to 100 millionaires, 99 of them, they've mastered mind state shifting. But they shift the internal with the body. They're able to shock their body, which shocks their mind. It's crazy because it's the understanding how we are so caught up with the external. And so why not use it? We should be caught up with the internal, but we are not. We live in a world where what I'm about to explain to you today, without understanding it's difficult to manifest it. It's difficult to manifest a world where it matches your brain. That just simply means your dream life. So there is a gap. There's a gap. And that gap is between where you are today and where you want to be. So when I ask myself, how come I'm not manifesting what I want to manifest? Source always brings me back to the same thing. I don't know what to give you because I can't understand what you're ordering. That's the only issue, or that's the primary issue that we have, is that source, the universe, the big G, God, wants to give you what you want if you could figure out and articulate what you want. The inability for us to express, expose, and expand our mentality. What does that mean? Well, science has finally proven and got to the space or the place where I'm at, which is nothing exists except waves that are molded by what we call mind. So all waves exist outside of time. Mind exists inside of time. So mind goes outside of time to bring subatomic particles in line. Mind goes outside of time to bring subatomic particles in line. When you can understand that your mind has the power, if you want to use that term, the ability, the capacity to go outside of time. And once we can understand that we have this power, now we got to figure out, okay, how do we use this power? It's very, very, very important, brothers and sisters, that we over and understand. If we could really understand that our mind is so powerful that it makes us believe that we're in time. Now, the mind isn't in time necessarily, but it is from the perspective of the mind actually creates time. Now, what do you think if you could wrap your brain around the fact that everything in your reality matches everything in your mentality? That's hard because I know people that they look at their reality right now and they will say, I didn't order this. It's very, 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 very important, brothers and sisters, that you got to ask yourself the $1 million question. Well, how did it get here? If you didn't order it, who ordered it? Think for a moment. Because you can go outside and you can look at your reality and say, I didn't order this. Then the question is, well, how did it get there? Now, let's take it a little further. How does all this work? Well, the universe works from a perspective that and this is where it gets a little interesting. Love amplifies the DNA. Hate nullifies the DNA. So the DNA doesn't work when you are in fear, doubt, and unbelief. Now, the DNA contains all of the waves that have ever existed. The DNA is literally a storage device. So the DNA is the gateway to God. But the DNA is just like going into a library. When you go to the library and pick out a book from the library, you could, but the librarian is going to limit the amount of books you can check out from the library. The librarian universe, God, source, is there and it's preventing you from checking out all of these books at one time. When you go to the library, the librarian is trying to tell you that you can check out a book. But you are going to the library. Now, remember, this is just an analogy for you to get a high level understanding of how the gateway to God works. This is the secret to manifesting, the secret to life. That's my whole life management university, the school that we're building and opening and stuff. And by the way, could you guys do me an unofficial? Can you guys do me a favor? Go to after the show. Let me know which website you like best. Because I gotta pick one. I have two sites, Life Management University, and then the other site is Master Teacher 33 University. The name I'm gonna go with is probably I'm just gonna go with the the Life Management University. But the structure of the site, whether it's totally automated, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards, but I want to do an official survey, meaning that if you guys can, and I'll send everybody both websites. You can go look at both websites and say, now remember both websites are like 50% complete because this is what I've been rolling out in 2023. And some people like a lot of structure. So I got a website that has a lot of structure. It's just point, click, and bam. Then some people don't like structure. So I don't really like that much structure, but I have both. So if you guys can kind of let me know, because that's exactly what we're talking about. What are we talking about? Well, the universe is a universe of structure. So the reason I've struggled in my life is I don't like structure. So I've been going up against the universe. And like me, there are some people that are like me. Remember my core expression, my core ID, my core ideal is a 5. Because remember, that is the outer expression number. The first number, the outer expression number for mine is 5, 4, and 9. I'm a 9, but my mind is structured through 5 4s. So as long as my freedom 5 establishes my 4 stability for me to do 9 high God mindset that assists humanity. So I can't assist you if I'm not stable and if I'm not free. So that's the way my brain works. Now the question is, how does your brain work? So what's happening is your life is an exact copy of your brain. Once you understand that your life is the proof of the complexity or lack of complexity, the structure or lack of structure. Remember, there is no such thing as good and bad. Everybody has feelings, which I don't know. Like I used to have feelings, and I was thinking today, it was driving, coming back from the grocery store, and I'm thinking about, I don't really do, Thanksgiving. Like I said, we'll have 30 people in the house this afternoon and tomorrow. So I was explaining to the wife, because she noticed that I struggle. And she said, well, what happened that you don't like people? And she didn't understand, because I said, people shut me down because I can't think. I'm a free spirit, but I love structure. I love a foundation. And that's how I help people. But I can only be around people for a small period of time, because what happens is my awareness of them eliminates my awareness of myself. I'm always self-aware unless I'm in a crowd of people, because I'm an empath. Their emotions crowd mine. That shuts down my mind. Now, it took me 50 years to figure that out. Now, I have no problem with when everybody comes over here probably around 6 o'clock today. The whole purpose for getting this home was for today like today. So why would why would I buy this house, this huge house, if I didn't want to fill it with people? But the wife notices that I shut down when all of her family comes over, even when my family comes over. My wife and my oldest daughter, her kids came down to see the house and blah, blah, blah. My wife notices that my energy changes around people. And I withdraw. Because my brain works when I can hear myself think. When there's a bunch of people, I can't hear my own thoughts because everybody's talking. TV's blasting. There's 15 conversations going on. Like I said, we'll have we just had 30 people over here for, her father's birthday. So those same people are coming back today and tomorrow. So we got the extra bedroom for people to sleep over. Because her and her mom, they got this thing that they do every year where they stay up all night laughing and joking and cooking. So tonight, all of that's going to be going on. You know where I'm going to be at? In my office, where I'm at right now. Away from everybody. So people are like, hey, what's up with your husband? Why is he so antisocial? I used to feel guilty too until I found out that my core, and this is the most important thing that I can share with you. The series that we've been talking about is the most, out of all the series I've done in my entire life, breaking the spell of spiritual amnesia is the most important thing you can do. Because your physical life is an exact copy of your mental structure. When I realized that if my office is messy, my mind is messy. And I realized that my people look at, and it's funny because that was the whole purpose of getting this house, because the kids would always argue who was the most messy. Comes to find out, it wasn't my bonus son, it was my daughter. But I always thought it was Alex. Alex's room is just like mine. His bathroom is just like mine. Janiyah's room, this is a brand new house, and I'll tell you, I couldn't even see the floor. I was like, I had to get the wife, hey, you got to go talk to her. We can't do this. Well, no. But she's a girl. And girls' thoughts are all over the place. So look at her room. So your room in your house, your car, I love to look at the inside of people's cars. Now, you look at the inside. Look at my bed. And look at my wife's car. It's crazy to me that it's that simple. That's the secret of life. The mind states shifting from awareness, but my awareness is shut down by people. Even though I service people, I can't be like Jesus. Remember, Jesus would always hear somebody. What was the next scripture? He slipped away through the crowds, got in the boat, and went over to the other side. Jesus was always alone. So that way, when he was in public, he could be effective. So the way that you break the spiritual spell of amnesia, as we've been breaking down, and we got day 5 tonight, is the 5 steps that we've been going through. Now, it took me 50 years to figure out this. Waves and consciousness is all that exists. The only thing that you must master is awareness of your modus operandi. You are consciousness that collapse waves into particles, but you just don't understand the process. To the degree that you can command your reality with your mentality. What do I mean? If today is Monday and we need $5,000 by Sunday, that should be no problem. Because the $5,000 already exists. It's just in another frequency that you're not on. You must quiet your brain to connect with that frequency that I talked about last night. This process I've been doing since really a child. I just didn't know what I was doing until I started researching, like some of David Sinclair's work. My boy, Robert Beck. My boy, Billy Carson. And all these other individuals who understand brainwave entrainment. And so I broke down how to train my mind using intonation. Now, the dominant culture, they got a lot of different names for this. Like, it's really the they call it electrical magnetic pulsar. Now, I've purchased different, I purchased the clapper, I purchased the blood purifier, I purchased recently, the electrical magnetic particle accelerator. What do they do? They change your brainwave state to match the desired brainwave state. The same way Dr. Royal Raymond Rice did way back in whenever he was around. The same way Jethro Kloss did in the 1800s. Pythagoras, have y'all researched Pythagoras? He went to Egypt, he came back, he started his own school. Pythagoras says nothing in the world matters except numbers. Pythagoras understood what I've been trying to teach you guys that I learned. Nothing in the world matters except what we call letters and numbers. Because letters and numbers, they literally structure and create function. So what that simply means is your mind can shift immediately to match your design or any design for that matter. I just prefer my design because source code designed me, or I designed myself, depending on who you talk to, in a way that's the most productive for this incarnation. So you are designed, and that's why I gave you the life optimization circle, because that gives you structure. Now remember, all of the gurus understand creation, you send it out, People accept it or reject it. That's called feedback. You take the feedback and you do what is called an adjustment that gives you more clarity. You refine it and then you recreate it or you send it back out into the world. Like, for example, a book. You write the book, you post it, it doesn't do well. You ask some people, even if you got to give the book away for free. Hey, could you read my book and tell me what you think? People read it and say, hey man, I read the book, it was kind of all over the place. Or I read the book, it was awesome. Or I read the book and I didn't like it. Okay, that's feedback. So what do? If you from like my culture, you shut down. You quit. You go back to the 9 to 5 because it didn't work. But if you understand creation, there's a guy by the name of Ennis House who came up with an electrical magnetic pulsar. What they do is, this is crazy, that they got a machine, and let's say your aura is emitting a frequency of 9 hertz. But you gotta, where you want to be at is 7.8 to match Gaia, the human resonance, and alkalinity. And your $1 million is at 7.8. But your aura is producing a frequency of 9.8. So you will live your entire life 2 to 3 degrees off of the frequency that you need to be to manifest your destiny. So now, how do you adjust your frequency? Well, that's the dominant culture has a lot of machines that do that. What I did was what I just told you. I created my own biofeedback loop that allows me to get in tone or in touch, as we broke it down last night. So I developed my own system for brainwave entrainment, and I put it inside of the life management system. It's called Petonomics. Now, Petonomics is again, that's my own system. It's called the household management of the soul. So what I did is I realized that my mind, my will, my emotions, my imagination, and my intellect, those 5 things, they are affected by 5 things. And we've been breaking that down in the private show. So you guys know that you are affected by your accent, but it's spiritual, inflection, intonation, intensity, and quality of speech. So I took those 5 keys and I put them into a circle and created my own spiritual, biological, if you want to use that term. Remember, it's cosmology, theology, biology. So that's how I broke the spell of legal fiction. So I got out. But I got out of the matrix and I was telling everybody else how to get out, but they was like, what? Because as we broke down yesterday's show with the word Nestiera, N-E-C-N-E, which means no, S-C-I-R-E, the Latin phrase that means knowledge. So that word gives us N-E, no, S-C-I-E-N-C-E, science. That means no knowledge. But it's a Latin phrase. But when you translate it into English, it means knowledge, but it doesn't. It's like I posted today with the word nice, and I've said this before. Words change over time, but the original imprint is the word's original design. So your DNA, which holds 15 billion years of information stored in the form of frequencies, it's all in your DNA. You have a frequency, so when the frequency in your head matches the frequency in your DNA, bam, you manifest. So right now, we need to break down today how for you to make the frequency in your head match the frequency in your DNA, because your DNA has all of your stored memories of yourself, your ancestors, and God. Because you're made up of hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon. That will make up the 4 amino acids, which are nothing but synthesis. That's inside the DNA. So the DNA is made up of ATG, ATCG, and P. Remember, P, which is phosphorus, is missing. How come it's not in the DNA? They're like Yah, Hey, Va, Hey. Where's the S? It's Yah, Hey, Shin. So that's like the Gospels. There's 4 Gospels. There's always one missing. The devil, if you use that term, never gives you the complete formula. You got to figure it out. Remember, the human DNA makes a sound 10-5-6-5, 10-5-6-5. Then your boy Bill Gates came up with a program that changes it by interjecting the jab. So that way it's 10-5-6-6-6. That's the new frequency of all of the genetically modified humans who took the jab. If you go right now to the doctor, and if they could measure your electrical or your energy or your biological baseline, it has changed if you got the jab from what it was before you got the jab. But that's another thing for another time. What we're talking about today is you need to stop externalizing your power. How? Anytime you pray, anytime you worship, anytime you seek a reverend, a doctor, or a bishop, you are externalizing your power. That's what it means. See, you need to internalize power because the kingdom of God is within. See, I am implosion, not explosion. So you will never see me explode on nobody and go the fuck off. I'm going to implode. So I told you guys that recently something that really, really bothered me with one of my kids. But what did I do? Instead of going off like I used to do, call my kids, curse them out, tell them, hey, who the fuck you think you is? I'm your daddy. Yeah, I show up at your house, but I ain't scared. But that's what I used to do. Now, I don't do that anymore. I've learned to keep the energy inside. So now that is what we talked about, what is called oculus and accotare in the Latin. It's a Latin phrase, which means eye that hides. It means to hide the eye. So in Latin, you must learn what I've learned, which is what they do. Hide the eye, the all-seeing eye, the third eye. As we've already broken down, you are sending and giving away your power. Nobody does this just by waking up and saying, I don't want to be powerful. Meaning, I don't want to get results. That's not how it works. We all want to get results. So what are we doing wrong? We're not hiding our eyes. Energy flows where attention goes. Whatever direction you look at, that's the direction that you go at. So they know, whoever they are, they understand that the secret to manifesting is alignment of the mind, which is the third eye, which is the pineal gland. Because the pineal gland not only has magnetite crystals, but it has these calcite crystals that are made up of calcium. That's why they got to calcify the brain. Now, this has been done to you and me, so calisthenics helps decalcify the brain. Tony Robbins talks a lot about using your physical body to create a mental shift. So if you change your body, you change your mind. That's why I do extreme diet. You see me go from 280 down to 180 in a week to bring about a shock to my body and to my brain. So I would cut out all carbs and work out 3 times a day with extreme workout. Now, I don't recommend you do it. I've been doing it since 13. It works for me. But I would, but again, if you go to your doctor, they'll say you should never elevate your heart rate above, say, 190. Shit, I do that on every workout. But what is the point? That is extreme physical. That's why your boy Wim Hof can do what he do. He understands the same thing. That's why all secret stuff, all special forces, they do these extreme. We got Hell Week. When I was in the Marines, we went through Hell Week. There's a whole week of fucking cold weather and then heat, extreme height, underwater, tying bricks on your feet, tying your head behind your back, basically drowning you. All of this extreme physical, it makes an extreme mental. So most people don't go through no extreme physical. So there's no extreme change mental. Now you can go listen to Tony Robbins stuff. You can look at David Sinclair stuff. You can go to Wim Hof stuff. You can just go through all these Googles out here. Notice how they make these changes. It ain't mental. It's fucking physical. And it's crazy because everything is on the mental. We put so much emphasis, and we should, because we are spiritual beings first. The mind controls the matter. But when you need to make an extreme change quick, you need to manifest $5,000. What you gonna do? Well, you gotta shock the body, which shocks the mind. Or you gotta be able to shift. So to shift the mind, you gotta shift the body. The other way, which is better, that's the extreme way. What's better? Clarity. See, when you get clear in your mind, you get clear in your body. You get clear in your house. You get clear in your car. You get clear in the kitchen. You get clear in everything's clean. When the mind's clean, the body's clean. Everything else is clean. So how do you clean the mind? The number one problem that everybody has, not everybody, but a lot of us, our minds are not clean. What does that mean? That's what I was telling you the story at the beginning of the show. When 30 people come into my home, because I'm an empath, 30 is like bringing in 30 different types of, I'm not going to say unclean, but different. Because there's no such thing as clean and dirty. It's just everything's frequency. But I mold my frequency with my consciousness. So how do you, again, access the secret gateway to God? Consciousness. So now we must say and understand the most important key to life, which I say pretty much on every show. How do you explain your consciousness without gadgets, without gimmicks, without scams, without lotions and creams and oils and amulets and candles and pendulets and all this stuff? All of it works, but what if you don't have access to it? Let's say if you were, well, I started Podunk, Texas, homeless, broke, no money. That's what I started. So I had to do what? I had to be able to do what I'm telling you. So the number one thing that I did was, and I got to tell everybody on the show, I got clarity. How did I get clarity though? Because I started from Podunk, Texas. I didn't know who the fuck I was. So I was trying to be other people. So I was a cop, I was a Marine, I was, fucking code compliance, I was an insurance agent. I did all of these stuff because it gave me an identity. So I stopped and I said, who am I? I couldn't answer the question. So on January 1st, 2009, I said, God, if you don't find me, obviously, because I've been looking, I can't find you. Because every time I think I found you, I found religion. I found another man teaching. But it wasn't me. So then I found my name. And I realized that N-A-M-E, if I drop the E, and reverse engineer it, I'm M-A-N. So man is name. So I looked at my name. And that gave me my vocare, as I spoke down yesterday, or the day before. Once I found my vocare, which comes from the word V-O-X, if you already broke that down, you guys remember? My life changed. Because guess what I got? The one thing that everybody comes to the life management system they don't have. That's why I'm turning the life management system into a 4-year university. And from now until probably January the 1st, I may make it shorter. Anybody who gets in now, it's only $20 for life. And again, I would like for you guys to go check out both websites and let me know, hey doc, I like lifemanagementuniversity.com. Go again, it's about 50% depth. Or check out my website, masterteacher33university.com. Now remember, I'm only going to use one, and I'm leaning towards the masterteacher33university.com, but changing the name, keep the format, but change the name. Because of everything's automated. It's just, you go in, and when you go to Master Teacher 30 University, you will click on, let's say, Manifestation School. You click on the little green dot that says, I want in. It takes you right over that to thing. It says, see course description. You click on, it tells you everything that you're going to get. You go down to the bottom where it says access. Bam, you click the button that says purchase, and bam. You get in your payment information. Everything's sent to you. It's completely automated. That's the one I've been working on for the last year. But it's 20 years of fucking information. You know how long it took me to upload all that stuff? But the Life Management University is the part, that's what I really like, because why? I'm not an 8. So I don't like structure. I'm more of a 5. I like freedom. That's why I want you guys' opinion, so that way that helps me make my decision before January. Because what does that do? Clarity. So what if I don't make a decision before January? You know what I'm sending out into the universe? Confusion. So people are not going to buy. See, people buy your energy. They don't buy you. If your energy is not clear, your product's going to sell. I don't give a fuck how great it is. Because the energy I'm picking up, now especially empaths like me, I don't buy watered down energy. Because what does it tell me? I'm going to get a watered down product. I need crystal clear clarity. I need this. I got 100 grand if you can prove me wrong. Bam! I'm going to buy it. Because I want y'all to, I don't see it. What is it? Next thing is, I like the 2020, that's peanuts. This shit is worth, thousands of dollars. That's why I'm doing a $20 down, $20 a month for a short period of time. After that, it's going to this shit $200, $300, $400, $500 a month to get access. But what is the point? Never discount yourself. Once you know yourself, you stop doing discounts. You stop doing free shit because you know your value. And when people ask you why you charge, you will do what I do. You'll laugh. Because once you see your vocab, so what is the number one problem that we need to solve today before we get off this call? So that way we can start to get out of legal fiction, which is fiction that's made legal. I'm tired of operating in fiction. Remember we broke down the word fringe, F-E-I-G-N? So most people have a difficulty understanding the big picture, which is the war between man and machine. Just like in, The Matrix. Just like in Terminator. Because both of those are the same. So there's a war going on between God's creation and man's creation, because man creates machines. That's what's going on in your head. That's why that's difficult for you to operate in what is called quantum presence. So today, what we're talking about is quantum presence. How can I be in the presence of my quantum self, which is another fancy way of saying spiritual self, subatomic particle self? Because that self, again, so that we all understand, your mind is like a mold that leaves an imprint that we call matter. So your physical, whatever you got, look in your driveway, whatever that is, that's in your head. Look at your house, whatever that is, that's in your head. Look at your wife or your husband, whatever that is or not is, that's in your head. So whatever's in your head molds, shapes subatomic particles. So since I can change what's in my head, I can change the particles that's manifesting in my life. So how do I change what's in my head? Well, you got two things, desire or design. Since my desires for me could not be maintained by me. That's why I had so many affairs. That's why I had so many jobs. Because my desires changed so rapidly that I had, remember what we talked about? Shiny object syndrome. So I suffered from shiny object syndrome. Remember, in the Bible, the definition for the word money, that's what it means. Shiny thing. The Old Testament, in the New Testament, it's mammon. In the Old Testament, it's architecture. Again, look it up. I got a whole book called The Ultimate Secret to Being Rich, where I go in and I break down the crystallization of the transducer state. That's called crystalline structures. Basically, that simply means that we're here to invent, not copy. But there's nothing new that we can invent. The word invent, as we already broke down, it comes from inventory or invention. So you should go into your DNA. You got 15 billion years of experience stored in your DNA. You should go in your DNA. You should look at your inventory. You should go down to aisle 13, shelf 8 of your DNA and pull out something to invent. You should invest all of your time into your inventory that you want to invent. Then you invite me and everybody else to look at what you just invested your time in that you took from your inventory. You're sharing your inventory with the universe. That's why you're here. But you got so much inventory. Guess what's going to happen to you? That didn't happen to me. Well, what happened to me? 68 jobs, 23 failed businesses, so many affairs that I lost count. Why? Shiny object syndrome. Destination addiction. Always going but never arriving. Why? I'm at Baskin Robbins. There's 31 flavors. Pick one. Oh, shit. I can't. How come? Well, I like, the peppermint patty, ice, whatever it's called. I like, mint. Ooh, you got orange sherbet? Oh, shit. What about lime? You got lime? Key lime. Oh, snap. I love some key lime. Oh, what about strawberries? Ooh, French vanilla. Oh, man. That's it right there. Oh, not French vanilla, though. Orange sherbet. OMG. So you see my problem? I go to Baskin Robbins and I want all 31 flavors. So I go there, I get all 31 flavors, I go home, I eat them, and I'm sticking to the dog. How come? Nick, well, you can't eat 31 different types of ice cream at the same time. So, back to my analogy when we started. We go to the library, we got a library card, you can only check out one book. How many books in the library? Let's say you go to the Library of Congress. So every author, all my books, well not all, a lot of my books is inside the Library of Congress. Because some of my books have an ISBN on. I put them on Amazon, but as I proved to you guys, there's 10 sites right now that are selling my books. I know none of those sites, and I don't get none of those money. Where that money goes, those are my books. I'm the author. I got the copyright. How the fuck there's 10 other people selling my book? Yours too. Don't believe me? Write a book, put it on the internet. Watch how fast if somebody else is selling it. Now, you can go get a lawyer, copyright infringement. How much is it going to cost you that? Exactly. So what's the point? Produce more than you make. Because you put that out into the universe. So now you and I are at the same spot. And that is focus on focusing. Your job is to, and I'll tell everybody, how many offers to buy did you make today? Did you ask for the sale today? This morning, on your Facebook page, social media. Now, a lot of you guys have 9 to 5, so this doesn't really, but I'm talking about guys like me. People ask me, doctor, shit, why are you always hustling? I ain't got a 9 to 5. Like, if I don't sell nothing, like I can work on my color scheme. I can work on my logo. Remember the definition between busy work and effective work. What is this called again? Coping mechanisms. Shiny object syndrome. I'm working on the shiny. My rims on my Corvette is real shiny. I like polishing my rims, but the engine, if I drive that sucker if I put the wrong gas in that thing, and if I drive it without the fucking oil in it, that's 100 grand gone. So even though the rims draw the attention, the convertible top, oh man, I get a lot of attention every time I fire it. But guess what? That's shiny shit. The stuff that's most important is underneath the hood. So you can't focus and make the mistakes that I already made. I already made the mistakes for everybody. I made the mistakes for everybody on this call. Nobody got to do it again. So you can learn. So what are you saying, Doc? Everybody should take out your life optimization circle if you have it. Everybody should go to the 10 o'clock stop clock on your life optimization. Let me take out. So I just did a report for my buddy Clarence West. So Clarence West, I don't know who that is. I do know who that is because I know who ordered the report. But I was doing my boy Clarence West report, and I'm thinking, dang, Clarence West, I don't know him, but his life probably sucked. Because Clarence West has 4 5s in his report. That means unless Clarence stumbled upon the right environment that allowed him to be a free bird and to do the fuck he want and get paid, Clarence, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, the person who ordered the vehicle report, because it is on the line. Could you just text me how has Clarence's life been? The person who orders a report for Clarence West, can you text me really quickly? Why is that? Well, if I'm talking to Clarence, I don't know Clarence. But one thing I know is the last 3 numbers on Clarence's report is 145. So I know that the core imprint in his outer expression, he wants to get this out. He wants to be independent, but he got to be stable and adventurous, free spirit, toiling in the wind fabulous. Now, for a man, that is dangerous as blanket. Because men are supposed to be mentally stable. We can't be bouncing all around, toiling in the wind fabulous. Men, we are supposed to be the foundation of the family. So the most important thing for Clarence is independence, because he's a 145. So Clarence, unfortunately, his dopamine is not released unless he's in charge. Now, based upon his name and the individual who ordered the report, Clarence is a black man. Now, as a black man myself, there is nowhere on earth a black man can go and be a fucking leader. Ask Kyrie Irving or ask LeBron James. Like when he or either my boy, remember I saw the video with old boy who's married to what's her name? Dwayne Wade. And they painted on go home nigga or some shit like that in his, $20 million house up in the suburbs with all the white folks. He still, he played and he's a big time basketball player. Everybody loves him. But guess what? At the end of the day, you still don't forget it. So there's nowhere Clarence can go and feel what he needs to feel. So Clarence is in trouble. Just like me and every other black man. So Clarence got to be able to figure out what I did. He got to create a bubble that's impenetrable by organized white supremacy. This shit's not individual. It's not individual no more. No, I'm not saying there's not individuals walking around. I'm just saying the system. There are good people who's trying to, I know a lot of good white people who don't even like the system. They live in it and they say, man, but I was just seeing some TikTok videos. That's white people saying that, white privilege. Like the one girl who came out and said the first time she really understood white privilege was when her neighbor moved into the neighborhood. And she was all happy and stuff, and she was like, yeah, like this. And the response, like I'm telling my wife went today to go, and she brought a black Santa Claus. And I'm like, wait, what are you going to do with that? Oh, it's Christmas is coming up, I'll put it outside. What the fuck you ain't? Well, the dude, I've never run out. The wife loves the dude. The dude next door, as soon as I met him, I haven't talked to him since. Because he's a big country white dude, and he's an ex-Marine. So I already know he's crazy as fuck. And I don't have to put a bullet in his head. So I just made sure that he knows that I know. So he got like 3 German Shepherds. So I already know he's crazy. The way he drives, everything about him says crazy. Now the wife, she's not an ex-Marine. So she don't know nothing about Marine Corps culture. I do. So when he sees me outside and I see him outside, we just look at each other. He don't say shit to me. I don't say shit. The wives, both of the wives, though, they love each other. They can't figure out, well, our husbands, I don't know. They want to come over and do what? The white dude says the same thing to his wife that I say to my wife. And we've never met each other. Men, we just fucking know. Because I ain't got time to play. Are you serious? So I don't even know the dude. He don't even know me. But guess what? I don't want to get to know him. Why not? So this is what my wife tells me. Man, he's a nice guy. How do I know? I saw his children. They look scared as fuck. Because I already know. His kids are like my kids were. They don't love their daddy. They scared of him. They're like my kids was as afraid as me. I wish to God, I was telling the wife today, man, I wish to God, like, I'm happy that I got a big house, nice car, that I got this consciousness. That's what we're talking about. Awareness. My whole life has changed. I'm not the dude. My kids, they're like that. They like kissing the water. They're like, okay, you're not crazy no more? They can't believe it. But the thing was, you don't do none of the stuff you used to do when you was married to our mother. How the fuck do you change? Like a leopard can't change his spots. They still waiting for me to go back to cuckoo and do all of the crazy stuff. And so they said that my boy Clarence, who we talked about, get back on topic. The client texted and said, Clarence works for himself. He doesn't have a traditional job. That means he broke as fuck. How much money does Clarence work? How much money does Clarence make? And what does Clarence do? Come on, man. Stop playing. Now, if I could talk to Clarence, you know what I tell Clarence to do? Go get a job. And you know, Clarence will tell me, shit, I ain't gonna get no job, man. Why? I already know. I know Clarence, but I don't know Clarence. But I know Clarence because I know his numbers. So Clarence got to marry his numbers. Because otherwise he's at a war against his own soul. You can't fight yourself. So the lower self fights the higher self. That's why you can't manifest. So I had to do what? Remember, I was doing all desire for 50 years. I did whatever the fuck I wanted to do. I didn't give a shit about my inner self. My higher self was telling me, don't quit your job around holiday times. You got a wife and 5 children. You know, I told my higher self, fuck you. Do what I want. And you know what happened? We was homeless. You know how many times? We went into, I told you guys, I was talking to my ex-wife the other day. And I was telling her, you know, I'm going to have you on the show. And she said, I don't think you want to do that. She was like, it's too soon. I was like, damn, this shit has been 20 years. She said, yeah, but it's the pain or the shit you did is still there. All the anger, it's all still there. And your clients, they look at you and they respect you. I don't. This is how we talk. Now, and like she knows that I know. Because like with my little son-in-laws, before they fuck up their relationship with my daughters, I tell them the same thing. And they say, damn, that's why they my number one clients. They're my best friends. Because I'm telling them what they're thinking. And they telling me, how the fuck do you know? They say, because I used to be you. So I used to be Clarence too. Because what's Clarence's life partner? He's an 8. So that means Clarence is an executive. That's why he works for himself. And he's independent. But he's a free spirit. So unless Clarence has figured out the game already, Clarence is working for himself, but he's like another guy who has some similar numbers. You know what? He was 45. You know what he told me he did? True story. He's another client of mine. Lives up in Dallas. He's a mobile auto detailer. I said, really? You should saw the way his wife looked when he said that. The wife requires him to talk to me. Otherwise, she's filing divorce. That's a requirement for them to move forward in their marriage. So what are you saying, Doc? Remember, what are we talking about today? Today, we're going to go into the holidays. The most important thing for you is to get connected with your higher self, God. How do you do that? Clarity. Get clear with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Remember what we said on day 1 of breaking spiritual amnesia? You guys remember the number one thing that you got to do? What do you start? To activate quantum tunneling, quantum telepathy, quantum coherence, quantum entanglement, quantum consciousness, quantum oneness, and number 7, quantum presence in the presence of God 24/7, 365. Me and God, we live together. I never have to go to the woods. I never have to go nowhere because I am an individual expression of God on earth. Because I got peace in my brain that I've never had before. Whether I get it, I got it from crystal clear clarity. So your accent gives you access. Access is the way of approaching the throne. Remember the Bible says, come boldly to the throne. See, some of y'all don't come boldly to the throne. Why? You don't like yourself. Why? Well, you got flaws. Why? Because there's rules. What rules? Those rules come from rules. Who wrote those rules? Did you write them? Fuck no. They was here. The Nordic Scandinavian culture wrote that. Are you Nordic Scandinavian? Some of you guys may be. Are you Welsh? Are you Dutch? Are you Irish? Now, if you're Scandinavian, then you're okay. Yeah, if it works for you. I ain't Scandinavian. I don't know if you noticed. So I need to write my own fucking rules. That's what I did. So my rules come from my rules. What are my rules? NAME. So I looked up each individual rule. I know everything about a W. Do you? So W got two valleys and a peak. So I know every year I have two valleys and I have a peak. Because my name starts with a fucking W. What if your name starts with an A? When I said the A, most powerful letter, but what is the A? The fucking pyramid. And they got the capstone. All A's are the most powerful people and the most dangerous people at the same time. So they can start a fire, or they can blow some shit up, or they can repair something. It depends on the other letters, because letters are feathers. So all I did was what? I got to understand my cognition that leads to ignition or ignore. Then my neighbor, I ignore. Why? Because I got cognition. It tells me, do not engage. Do not ignite. Because that's a very dangerous combination. Because the Marine Corps was the most racist organism on the planet. As is all military. Y'all know what fucking goes on at Fort Dix? Do you know how many Marines kill each other? They never talk about this shit in public. Like the series I told you guys that peripheral, go ask black Marines and then ask white Marines. I saw one black Marine Corps officer in 10 years. One. No Marine would talk about this. No Army. The military is the most racist organization on the planet. Just like the church, like they say on Sunday. Sunday mornings are the most segregated hour on the fucking planet. But everybody's cool with it though. Nothing wrong with it. It is what it is. So what if you walking around like young, dumb, and stupid and you don't understand that? Guess what's going to happen to you? They're going to find your ass in the woods. They're going to send your parents a nice letter that says you got waxed in a training accident. Now, a bunch of white Marines took your ass out of the woods and shot your ass in the back of the fucking head. Or vice versa. It works both ways. So I was in the Marines. It's going on because guess where my son at right now? Oh, he in it. He's in the Navy. You know what he texted me the other day? Dad, what the fuck's going on? Because I told you. He's sitting around, he got like 10 dudes from fucking Kentucky looking at him. They're out in ship and sea for 6 months. And you in a tin can floating out in the middle of the fucking ocean. Y'all don't want to be true. So what you gotta do? You have to be able to tap into your true authentic self, yourselves. See, in order for you to start the process of getting out from underneath your lower self, which is, again, what we call the devil, and you operate in legal fiction, God's amnesia, in order for you to tap into the gateway of God, let's wrap up with the secret sauce, the smoking gun. If I was talking to Clarence, just like if I was talking to you, I'm going to be honest with everybody on this call. Problems don't exist. Everybody has a problem. Like, if you got any problem, there's not a problem, it's a pattern. That pattern's going to keep coming around till you solve it. So you get used to it. That's why if you notice yourself, like I noticed remember I tell you guys, every year around this time I would crash and burn. Now I don't do that anymore. Because I noticed the pattern. Pattern recognition is number one. Whose pattern? Yours. So most people spend their time noticing other people's pattern. Oh, you can talk about other people, but what about you? See, we don't want to go there. How come? Well, that shit's emotional. You know how hard it is as a father to say that really my 19-year-old daughter's not here because the mistakes that I made when she was 5, 6, 7, and 8. When I had the opportunity to build her self-image and self-esteem, I wasn't there. I was too busy chasing punani. As a father, I got to own that. Just like you. So you have to go inside yourself and you got to own the good and the bad because there's no such thing. It's just lessons. That's how I learn. So I'm not afraid to make more mistakes. That's why I can learn. So I know I'm not, quote unquote, God's gift to the planet, but I know I am God's gift to the planet. So math, music, and language is how I learn. So do you. So we broke down the word nescere, which means All you got to do is know that you don't know. What that does, that gives you motivation. I'm more motivated than anybody else. There's nobody more motivated that I've met than me. So my challenge to you is to be more motivated than me. Now, I don't like the word motivated. I like the word amplified. There are some people like Sister, who's it, born in April? Sister Amika. Like Sister Amika, who else? Is that like a, there's a couple other people that are born in April. So they have a motor that nobody else got. What happens if you put a motor in a car that don't got a steering wheel? You know what happens? You make it the fuck out the way. Because guess what's going to happen? You're going to get ran deep over. It's a matter of time. Well, let's go back to my boy Clarence. So my boy Clarence, he's born in July. You know, July is like April. July is a month of action. So you're an independent executive that takes massive action. Where? Well, where are we going, Clarence? So if I could talk to Clarence, that's what I would ask him. I say, Clarence, what is your, number two, distinct reason for being on the planet? If Clarence can't define that, Clarence is in trouble. Just like if I can't define it, that's why I was in trouble. I could not define what would keep me in line. In closing, what does that mean? What keeps me in line? My design. See, I didn't understand that. It took me so long to break down that something that simple. I knew my design. I mean, you know, I was born with a gift of gab. I just didn't know how to use it. So all I did was use it to get digits. I did not use it to create products, solve problems, make money. Excuse me, up until now. So I know that I'm a free spirit that has a very, I'm going to use the word sophisticated way of thinking because that's what the word nine means. Now, this should sound arrogant. It should. Like if I was talking to my boy Clarence, this Clarence should be arrogant too. Because Clarence has something that I know. Clarence was born on the 22nd of July. 2 plus 2 equals 4. So that means Clarence is a master of building and taking action in a very detailed manner. Because the year, Clarence has arguably the 3 best numbers on the planet. He's born in the month of July, that's the 7th. He's born on the 22nd, that's the 4. He's born in the year that we end up, that's the 6th. So Clarence has a core imprint of 746. It's not 369 like Tesla talks about, but it's 746. That means that he's a very deep, the word compassion simply means detail. So that means he's a level of details, and 4 is an upside down chair, which allows him to be very, very stable, 7 at taking massive action. So I already know if I'm talking to Clarence, Clarence got to get them 6. Clarence got to do what loves him instead of what he loves. That means Clarence got to stop pursuing. Now, I don't even know Clarence. I'm just saying off the top of the dome. If Clarence can listen to this message, Clarence will text me and call me and say, damn, Doc, you right on point, though. You right on point. Why? Because these numbers in 50 years never lie. Numbers don't lie. People do. Now, Clarence could be like a lot of people when I first started, including me. I was like, no, dog, that shit ain't true, bro. And I start stumbling over my words and stuff. That's how you know niggas is lying. When they start talking fast and start studying, that's when you busted it. But he can't accept the truth. Now, when I saw my numbers, I was like, master teacher, you got to remember, I was homeless. I was broke. I had a warrant out for my arrest to go to fucking federal prison for wiretap and interstate banking fraud. They call it wire transfer fraud or some shit like that. And I did my own numbers, and it said that I was a 336. You know what I said? This shit is wacky. So then I did to the doctor, to the Diane. I put it in a garage with all my books. And it sat there for about another 5 years. Because I could not believe me. My higher self was telling me, hey, lower self, you are a creative fucking guru. That if you pay attention to details, you would be a fucking god on this planet around a bunch of peasants. You know what I said? Same thing that class would say. Nah. Because truth exposes the lies that you've been promoting. See, excuses are lies. People with excuses are people with lies. There are no excuses. None. There are no problems. None. What are they? Lies. What are lies? Less scary. Means it's right there, but I'm going to ignore instead of ignite. People with problems, they're like me. I know how to lose weight. So if I'm overweight, that means I'm ignoring how to lose it. I know what to do. I've done it thousands of times. Well, maybe not thousands, but hundreds. But sometimes, like you, I choose to ignore the truth. Yes, it's not that it's not there. No scary. It means to not know because of ignorance. Ignorance means you see it, but you just, not today, Doc. I'm not doing it. How come? At the base, you don't deserve it. That's what you're telling yourself. But you're not. As I said, when my life changed, when all my shit got put out, when I made a life-changing decision to pursue the girl of my dreams. And I moved out and moved in to somebody that I didn't even really know, who paid for all my bills. But it came with a couple contingencies. Sister Cheryl of the West. Sister Cheryl, I did not read the small print, Sister Cheryl. Well, next thing I know, I had no place to stay. My brand new Camaro that I was driving off the show was close to the Cheryl West. You know what happened to it? Fucking gone. Her son, who was 6'5", 350, came and picked it up. I had no problem. I told him, Nico, bro, you ain't have to come in the middle of the night and take it. Shit, I just asked for the key. I'd have gave it to you. I don't want no problems there, young buck. He's younger than me. So, Sister Cheryl West, I learned a good lesson, Sister Cheryl. And I went to my sister's house, crying like a newborn baby. And she told me, Sister Cheryl, words changed my life forever, Sister Cheryl. She told me, bruh, get your own shit. Now, she had 4 cars in her driveway, brand new house. She gets half of her ex-husband's pension. I think almost $5,000 a month. He was a high-ranking military officer, spent 35 years. She didn't do shit. But because they were married, they got divorced, bam, she gets half his pension for life. Yeah, I see her post up on Facebook every morning. She does a little Christmas show. You know what she told me, Sister Cheryl? She didn't say, hey, bro, I got a 4-bedroom house. Just me and my son. Who knew the little nephew that put his mama's head through the wall? And she called me and I had to go there and damn near put my pistol in his mouth. Don't tell him what I told you. She don't like me to share that story. But I had to get his attention. You know, I know he thought I was stupid like his mom. But it's such that she called me Sister Cheryl. She didn't call my other brother. None of my sisters called none of the other. They always called me when the shit hit the fan, Sister Cheryl. I wonder why. Y'all know why. Crazy as hell. I tell everybody. I'm gonna get me a t-shirt that says crazy ass fuck. Because I ain't sorry. What's the point? I need to get the point. My sister changed my life. Why? Because she didn't do shit when she was in a position to. Changed my life. You know that taught me, Sister Cheryl? Figure it the fuck out. So every morning I wake up, Sister Cheryl, I know it's me against the world. So I don't call Ghostbusters. Sister Cheryl, I ain't waiting for Jesus to come. See, he came and left already. So, Sister Sandra, I don't have no delusions of grandeur, Sister Sandra. I'm not sitting around, Sister Sandra, waiting. I understand the game, Sister Sandra. Get the fuck up and produce. That's the game. That just happens to be the world that we live in. Create, create, create. Then when you create, notice, stop for a moment, get some feedback. You know what the best feedback is? Silence. You know the silence is saying what you're saying, nobody's listening. How come nobody's listening? Well, if nobody's listening, Brother Joseph, you know what that means? The shit you talking, ain't nobody interested. So you know what you got to do, Brother Joseph? You got to start saying something different. That's the hardest pill to swallow right there, Brother Joseph. Because you know what? We are married to our narrative, not this. Brother Joseph, when I put it out there, it's silence. It's where I get back. Guess what I'm going to do, Brother Joseph? I'm going to change the title. If I get more silence, I'm going to change the headline. I'm going to keep changing the headline, Brother Joseph, because I know the content is valuable. But for some reason, I'm not getting attention. So how do I get people's attention, Brother Joseph? Well, one thing about people, Brother Joseph, people like themselves. So what I got to do is I got to change my verbiage. See, some of us, we are good people, but we are bad copywriters. You know that unfortunately, we live in a world of schedule market, as I've been telling y'all for 25, 30, how long have we been doing this? 35 years? So if I'm talking to sister, the great Dr. Spam, I say, hey, Dr. Spam, you're an awesome person, you got an awesome message. You are already a millionaire, Dr. Spam. She gonna say, well, shit, where is it? Where are my millions at? I'm gonna say, it's in your copyright. And Dr. Spam will say, like, what? What do you mean, find a way up? I'm gonna say, Dr. Spam, if you put your words in a particular order, you will provoke and invoke. You will go in and you will touch somebody's VOX, they vocare. That's going to provoke them to, hey, Dr. Man, I saw that book that you got up. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? They're going to inquire. So what you got to do, you got to keep adjusting your hook. Because remember, they go fishing. If you're going saltwater fishing, don't use a freshwater hook. That's all I'm saying. Some of y'all got some hooks, man, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to be the bearer of good news. Some of y'all got some hooks and y'all ain't using them. I thought I'm going to leave that alone. I'm just going to leave it alone, okay? I'm going to walk away, back up real slowly. Let's say it again. Some of y'all got some hooks. You should use them. Okay, I'm walking away. Brothers and sisters, tomorrow is, I think, is it tomorrow's next day? I don't know. Whatever it is, Turkey Day. Anyway, happy Turkey Day, whatever people who celebrate that. I mean, hey, I'm going to eat a plate, so I shouldn't talk about it, I guess. The wife's going to cook it. Hey, I'm going to eat it. I ain't going to pass up no good meal like the fan, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, my belly's going to be nice and round, Sister Cheryl. So you guys let me know. Tonight we'll do day 4. No, shit. No, day 5. God, we'll do right along. So we'll do day 5. And then after day 5, like, you guys let me know if y'all want to do a show tomorrow. If y'all do, yes, we're gonna knock out the show, not only the free show, but also the pay-per-view show tomorrow night. But you know, hey, if y'all gonna be busy cooking dinner and hanging out with the folks and all of that good stuff, y'all, you know, let me know that too, and I'll adjust the schedule. Because y'all know me, hey, I go every day, all day. Every day is just another day for me to not only express, expose, and expand my destiny, but also assist you to understand that rules create rituals that create rules. If y'all do those 3 things, I have my own rules. Like, man, I have my own rules. I don't violate my own rules, like, man. I got rules. Like this morning, as soon as I finished the show, because I had to go with the wife to the store, last minute stuff, then something, man, y'all can believe, I lost my phone. Like, it was gone. I couldn't find it for like 2 hours. It had just out of my pocket, fell underneath the car that I do remember driving because I moved it out of the driveway. But I never thought to look in that car because I don't know why. Other than I got quiet. And I said, Big G, stop playing with my phone. But I got to do the show. And I went and looked. Sure enough, it's under the seat in my son's car. Because I moved his car to move the wife's car to go to the store with the wife this morning. And it fell out of my pocket. And it was underneath the driver's seat. So I was always sweating bullets, Sister Veronica, because it's like, everything's in my phone. They're like yours. Something that simple, so I had to quiet. I started to panic at first, but it's also, then I was like, my spirit was like, what? You know, the phone got to be in the house somewhere, or in the car. But I couldn't hear it, and I was calling it, so I said, well, maybe I had it on silent. I checked everywhere, house, closet, office, the wife's car, my car, and I wouldn't even hear my car. The garage where I worked out at. And then I started reverse my steps. You guys should do this too. Where did I go? And I said, oh, snap. I did move. I said, there's no way it could be in Alex's car. I was in that car for 10 seconds. Sure enough, man, it was in that car. That's how life is, man. We're so fast. We're moving around. We're doing so much stuff. Sometimes we forget. You got to slow down, retrace your steps. Make sure that you're cognitive of everything you do. Because if you driving your car and you ain't got no steering wheel, you're going to be all over the fucking place. Your mind is your steering wheel. Your thoughts is the car. And if you could understand how to use symbols, signs, signets, sigils, runes, they turn into rituals. Those rituals become the rules, the patterns that control your life. Those rules, you can change them if you change your rituals. You change your rituals by changing your rules. Those rules are sigils. Those sigils are seals. Those seals are signets. Those signets are what we call letters and numbers. Change the letters and numbers of your life. You change your whole life. Brothers and sisters, this is very important. I love you. Appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on today's message. Y'all already know. I love you, lady. Now you can do about it. We'll see y'all mañana. Or get on tonight. God bless.